Hey y'all, and welcome back to Big Jake's Garden. And today we are talking seeding. Putting all your seeds ready, getting them ready for the garden for the season evens here. So let's hop into it. So for starters, before you even start your garden, you got to pick your seeds. So what does this mean? So you decided what you wanted to grow. Say you go to Walmart, Lowe's, or even online and look around. You got to find your seed packets and what you want to grow. The next part is you may see something pretty, for example, like these zinnias. And you're like, how in the world am I supposed to plant these? So this is where you flip the pack over and you learn about the seeds that you're about to plant. So let's flip this pack over. So for example, it shows you the colors here. Got salmon colored zinnias that work well in the borders and bouquets. You have your instructions here. After all danger of frost, sow in open ground, well exposed, or for early bloom, start indoors in flats around 4 weeks before the last frost. So that's about the time we have now. So next thing you hop down is care and maintenance. So the days you germinate is about 21 days. You'll plant them 1/4 inch deep. You'll space your zinnias once you plant them about 6 to 10 inches apart so they have room to grow. They'll get about 30 inches tall, which is close to 3 foot. And then about 80 days of bloom once you put them in the ground. This here is a good example of the chart where you should start planting. So for example, Virginia is April through July. So now that you know about the packs, it's time to actually do your seeding. So let's start with that. So for our operation in seeding, we do a method called float trays. Now traditionally float trays are used for tobacco planting, which is what our greenhouses used to be. So check these out here. They're all floating in a water bed. They're about 4 inches deep-ish in water, a little less, give or take. But they all float here in the water. But for our peppers and our dryer seeds, we're using simple baking pans from whatever grocery store, dollar store you want to buy them from, and they come in a 2-pack. So for our operation, in all these float trays, we have cut drain holes in the bottom. That way they can drain if it gets too wet or anything and like that. But most folks, for example, for the video I'm making, probably don't have somewhere to set it to where it can drain. So here's what I suggest. So where they do come in a 2-pack, you got holes in the top one so it has room to drain. And then you can find like bottle caps or just something to put underneath to give you a little space. You would just set it on top so it'll catch the water on the bottom. Then you can dump out the bottom or just leave it down there for some condensation or whatever you want. But I suggest at least draining it, a couple days after. That way you don't have any stagnant water or get flies or anything in your house. So now, let's fill up our tray. Should look like this. So when filling these up, I'm sure you have the question of what kind of soil do I use? We use ProMix BX, but you can really use any sort of seed starting soil that you find at your local store. I just wouldn't suggest using like a topsoil because it's usually a little more mulchy and seeds are kind of hard coming up through the woods. So I'd use some kind of seed starting blend. So now here's to the fun part. So what I do personally is I just make little rows with my fingers, about a fingertip length. Just kind of go down, make you some little rows. So now that our rows are made, if you're doing it from home, you can usually just set the pack in there. Usually don't really hurt anything. So now let's plant our seeds. Now I'm putting these seeds about, an inch or half an inch apart. That way they got plenty of space and they're easy to pull out. Now when we're doing everything in bulk, we put them a lot closer together, but we're also separating probably 500-600 seeds there. So then there's your seed row. I'm gonna set these seeds to the side here for now. And then you don't have to get them real deep. You just kind of pinch and cover them up. And they're seeded. Another important thing to remember is to always tag what you seed. Whether you use the packet in the side of the corner or use these little tags. You can find these really cheap at the store, because if you lose them, it's the guessing game. So always remember what you seed and what you plant. Now we're at the end of the video, but here's probably the most important part of this whole seeding process or even growing process for your transplant. Do not overwater or underwater your plants. I know that's hard. It's like, well, which one is it? But always keep them like nice and damp for the seeds, and then once they get bigger, you can actually give them some water, and then give them about a day to dry back, and then water them again. Because if you're overwatering, results in root rot, and underwatering, well, roots have no food or nothing to drink. So kind of if I gotta find that happy medium, and being a gardener, you end up learning that medium over time. Thank you for tuning into this greenhouse session. I'm Big Jake. Be sure to follow everything on our media, and we'll see you on the next video.